On October 3, 2017, in Shivaji Park Colony, Alwar City, Rajasthan, two sisters named Sandhya Sharma and Kavita Sharma were sleeping on the terrace at night while the rest of their family was asleep in the house below. However, due to the sunlight, Sandhya and Kavita woke up early the next morning. Because of this, both sisters came downstairs to turn on the water motor. But as soon as they turned on the motor and went inside the room, they let out a scream upon seeing the scene inside. Hearing their cries, neighbors gathered around. They rushed into the house of Banwari Lal Sharma. But when the neighbors saw the scene in that room, their hearts sank for a moment because there were dead bodies everywhere. The head of the house, Banwari Lal, and his three sons Aman, Happy, and Aju along with Banwari Lal's elder brother's son, Nikki, were all lying dead in the house, their bodies covered in blood. Banwari Lal and his eldest son Aman were lying on the bed, while the rest of the family was on the floor. The neighbors immediately realized that there had not just been a murder, but a massacre in that house. They promptly informed the police about the incident. Upon receiving the information, the police also quickly arrived at the crime scene. Seeing 5 bodies in one house made the police tremble. Local people informed the police that Banwari Lal and his eldest son Aman were still alive, meaning they were breathing. The police immediately sent both of them to the nearest hospital by ambulance, but doctors declared them dead upon arrival. The news of the murder of 5 people in one house spread like wildfire throughout the area. Police officers, along with a dog squad and forensic team, were called to the crime scene. Meanwhile, Banwari Lal's family was in a state of extreme distress, crying uncontrollably. Sandhya fainted upon seeing the bodies of her husband and children. She kept fainting repeatedly, which led to her being hospitalized as well. After that, the police and forensic team conducted a thorough investigation of the house. Bloodstains were found all over the room. The walls, floors, bed, and bedding were all stained red. Additionally, the forensic team discovered some fingerprints on the walls, and some household items were found scattered around. Fingerprints were also collected from these items. Since 2 bodies had already been sent to the hospital after the initial investigation, the bodies of the 3 children present in the house were also sent for post-mortem examination. Following this, a team of doctors performed post-mortems on all 5 bodies. Meanwhile, the police began their investigation and questioning. The police first tried to determine how the culprits had entered the house, as there were 2 doors for entry. One main door that opened onto a street and another that opened into a room. Kavita told the police that when the 2 sisters came down from the terrace in the morning, they noticed that the main gate of the house was open, and its latch was unfastened. In other words, it was not closed in the same way it had been at night. From Kavita's statement, the police suspected that the culprits must have entered through the main door, but there was no evidence of forced entry on that door. This meant that the door had not been forcibly opened. Was it possible that the door had been opened from the inside? After all, such a mass murder couldn't have been committed by a single person. Multiple individuals must have been involved. But the question remained, when this incident occurred, Kavita and Sandhya, who were sleeping on the terrace, should have heard the screams or the sound of a struggle. Neighbors claimed that they had not heard any noise from that house. Not only that, but Banwari Lal's family members, who were sleeping on the first floor, also reported hearing nothing. This incident occurred during the night between October 2nd and 3. On that night, Banwari Lal's younger brother Mukesh was not home. Mukesh had gone out of town for work 3 days before this incident. However, after the incident, the family made numerous attempts to contact Mukesh, but they were unsuccessful, meaning a major incident had occurred in their house, and Mukesh had no idea about it. After this, several police teams were formed and assigned different tasks. They also attempted to review all the CCTV cameras installed around the crime scene and the nearby roads. However, there were not many cameras in that area. Still, some CCTV cameras from nearby shops and large houses were checked, but no clues were found since none of the cameras had captured any suspects. In fact, there were several routes to Banwari Lal's house through which a person could easily enter without being seen by any cameras. Following this, the police also tried to find out if Banwari Lal had any enemies. However, if Banwari Lal had any enmities or disputes, then only Banwari Lal would have been murdered. But here, innocent children had also been brutally killed. After that, the police made an effort to learn detailed information about every member of the Sharma family, as it was possible that a clue could be found here. In fact, in 1999, Banwari Lal married Sandhya Sharma, who was from Rajgarh. After the marriage, they had 3 children. The oldest son, Aman, was 17 years old. Their second son, Happy, was 15 years old, and the youngest son, Aju, was 14 years old. A few years after Banwari Lal's marriage, his younger brother Mukesh also married Banwari Lal's wife Sandhya's sister, Kavita. Mukesh and Kavita also had 2 children. Their oldest son, Nikki, was 12 years old, while their youngest son, Vinay, was mentally ill, meaning his mental condition was not right. This entire family used to live in their ancestral home in Garu village in the Kathumar Tehsil of Alwar district. However, about 14 years before this incident, Banwari Lal's entire family moved to Shivaji Park for work. They had their ancestral home in the village and some land, which was taken care of by Banwari Lal's uncle's family. But when Banwari Lal asked his cousins to divide the land, they started making excuses, leading to a land dispute between Banwari Lal and his uncle. The matter escalated to the point of physical altercations, but the villagers eventually mediated a settlement between the 2 families. This was about 3 or 4 years before the incident. However, when 5 people were murdered, people suddenly remembered this dispute, causing the police investigation to turn towards the land issue. To confirm this, the police questioned Banwari Lal's wife, Sandhya, who was admitted to the hospital. During the questioning, Sandhya also stated that her husband's relatives must have been involved in the murder since they had previously fought over the land. While all this was happening, a relative noticed Banwari Lal's scooter. In fact, Banwari Lal had bought the scooter for his eldest son Aman after he passed his 10th exam, but the scooter was now missing from their home. Neighbors were also asked about the scooter, but no one had seen it there. When the scooter could not be found after searching everywhere, the police speculated that the murderer might have taken it. After the post-mortem, the bodies of the 5 victims were handed over to their relatives on the evening of the incident, October 3rd. The post-mortem report had not yet arrived, but the doctors conducting the autopsy informed the police that they suspected a deep enmity existed between the murderers and the family, which led to the brutal killings. A weapon similar to a double-edged knife had been used for the murders, which had broken bones, and there were also cut marks on their necks. Additionally, multiple stab wounds were found on their abdomen and heart. The doctors also told the police that 4 of the 5 individuals had been drugged, as there were no signs of resistance on their bodies, and none of them had opposed the killers during the incident. Only Banwari Lal's eldest son, Aman, had multiple knife marks on his arm, indicating that he had resisted the attackers. This meant that all the others, apart from Aman, had been killed while unconscious. During the investigation, the family informed the police that everyone had gone to bed early that night and had fallen into a deep sleep. This was likely why no one heard any noise in the house that night. Meanwhile, the police wondered how an entire family could fall into such a deep sleep simultaneously. Could it be possible that they were all drugged? Some rotis and vegetables from the previous night remained in the house, and the police sent them for lab testing, as they began to suspect that someone from inside the house might be involved since the main door of the house was open from the inside. Meanwhile, a police team began searching for Aman's scooter. During this time, someone informed the police that an abandoned scooter was parked near the Mandir turn by the railway station. Upon receiving the information, the police seized the scooter and showed it to Banwari Lal's family, who immediately identified it as Banwari Lal's. Bloodstains were also found on the scooter, along with marks on the handle. After this, the police started examining all the CCTV cameras installed at the Mandir turn, trying to find out who had parked the scooter there. Eventually, the police found footage showing 2 individuals arriving on the scooter around 1:04 am on the night of October 2nd, 3. One person got off at the Mandir turn, where he washed his hands, feet, and face in a nearby water tank, while the other person took the scooter behind a wall and left it abandoned. Afterward, the second person also came to the water tank, washed his hands and feet, and then both of them fled the scene. Due to the darkness, their faces were not clearly visible, but the fingerprints found on the scooter matched those found at the crime scene. However, there was a 4th person's fingerprint at the crime scene that did not match anyone else's. leading the police to deduce that 4 individuals were involved in the murder, and that the 4th person was likely someone from the house. The police already suspected the family members since Banwari Lal's younger brother Mukesh was also missing. They were unsure about him as well. While the police were still piecing things together, they realized that the person who could provide the most accurate information was Banwari Lal's wife, Sandhya Sharma, who had been admitted to the hospital due to her deteriorating health. The police then went to the hospital and asked the doctors when Sandhya would regain consciousness, as they needed to ask her some urgent questions. However, the doctor mentioned that he believed Sandhya was not actually sick, but was pretending to be ill. This was enough for the police. They went to Sandhya, woke her up, and took her directly to the police station. Sandhya's mobile phone was also checked. The police found a number in her call detail records CDR that indicated Sandhya had spoken a lot to that number in the days leading up to the incident, but suddenly stopped after the incident. The police sought to find out whose number it was and obtained the call details. It turned out that the number belonged to Hanuman Prasad Jat, also known as Jack, and when Jack's location was checked, it was found that he had been near Banwari Lal's house from around 10:30 p.m. on the night of the incident, October 2nd, until about 2 a.m. Without delay, a team from Alwar police went to Udaipur and arrested Jack. However, when he was brought before Sandhya, she panicked upon seeing him in the police station and confessed to her crime. In fact, Sandhya, along with her lover and 2 hired killers, brutally murdered her husband and 3 children. Sandhya was an ambitious girl who loved a luxurious lifestyle, expensive clothes, and costly cars. However, her family married her off to a lower middle-class family where managing household expenses was a constant struggle. When Sandhya had 3 children, the responsibilities increased even more. In fact, Sandhya already knew a little bit of Taekwondo martial arts, so she decided to take training again and eventually became a Taekwondo coach herself. She started training local children in Alwar district, as Taekwondo also had tournaments, and Sandhya began to participate in those tournaments with the children in various cities. The children trained by Sandhya reached the national level, and now Sandhya was also contributing to household expenses along with her husband. Everything was going well until in 2015, during a tournament, Sandhya met Hanuman Prasad, also known as Jack, from Udaipur. At that time, Sandhya was married and a mother of 3, while Jack was 10 years younger and not married. He was pursuing a BP Ed course in Udaipur, which made him attend sports tournaments frequently. They met at one of these tournaments because Sandhya was beautiful, and it didn't seem like she was a mother of 3. After this meeting, a friendship developed between them, which gradually turned into love. Physical relations also began between them. Jack had a friend named Matu Sarkar, who lived in a village in Laxmangarh, Alwar district. Jack used to visit Alwar under the pretext of meeting his friend Matu, while Sandhya would also visit Jack under the guise of training children in Taekwondo. They often stayed at Matu's house for several days. However, this extramarital affair couldn't stay hidden for long. One day, Sandhya's eldest son Aman saw his mother with Jack. Aman told everything to his father, Banwari Lal. Banwari Lal scolded Sandhya harshly and explained to her that such behavior was unbecoming, especially since she had 3 children and should feel ashamed. But Sandhya was so blinded by Jack's love that she was not ready to understand, which led to her being restricted from going out. However, Sandhya had already moved far ahead in love and wanted to marry Jack and spend her life with him. Although their meetings stopped, Sandhya still talked to Jack on the phone, secretly from her family. Then, about 3 months before the incident, Sandhya told Jack that they had to eliminate her husband Banwari Lal and her eldest son Aman. Initially, Jack refused to do so, but since he loved Sandhya and wanted to marry her, he eventually agreed after repeated requests. They then started planning the murder. About 2 months before the killing, Jack bought 2 fake SIM cards, one for himself and the other for Sandhya. They communicated through these numbers, knowing that they could not carry out this task alone. Therefore, Jack spoke to a boy named Deepak, who agreed to carry out the crime for a small amount of money. Deepak also involved his brother Kapil in this bloody plan. Deepak and Kapil were ready to commit 2 murders for a mere rupee 20. Zuzurzur. They chose October 2nd to execute the plan. 3 days before the incident, on September 30th, Jack ordered 1 knife online while he bought another from the market. They also bought surgical gloves to ensure no fingerprints were left at the crime scene. After that, Jack went to sleep. Sanjay bought sleeping pills and gave them to her husband, Banwari Lal. On October 2nd, Sanjay prepared dinner. That night, Sanjay made raita, in which she easily mixed sleeping pills. After that, all the family members had dinner. But that day, the elder son Amin was not feeling well and didn't eat dinner. This was the reason why Amin woke up during the incident. After dinner, all the family members started feeling sleepy and went to their respective rooms to sleep. Since Amin had not eaten, he was not feeling very sleepy, but he still laid down in his room. It was evident that Sanjay did not eat the raita either. After everyone in the house had gone to sleep, at 9:40 p.m., Sanjay called her lover, Jack. Jack had already come to Udaipur to his friend Matu's house. Along with him were Kapil and Deepak. After that, the four friends arrived at Sanjay's house around 10:30 p.m. Sanjay was waiting for them on the terrace. She signaled to Jack and informed him that everyone in the house was asleep, but they had come just for reconnaissance. After that, Jack sent his friend Matu to the railway station, from where Matu returned to his village. Meanwhile, Deepak, Kapil, and Jack passed the time here and then arrived at Banwari Lal's house around 1 am. Sanjay was already waiting for them. As soon as they arrived, Sanjay went downstairs and opened the main gate of the house. She told Jack that she would stay by the door, but they should go inside and finish their work quickly. After that, Jack and his friends entered the room where Banwari Lal and his elder son Amin were sleeping on the bed, while three children, Happy, Aju, and Nikki, were sleeping on the floor. At that moment, Sanjay also entered the room. First, both the hired killers grabbed Banwari Lal's hands, while Sanjay held her husband's feet. After that, Jack slit Banwari Lal's throat with a knife. Jack repeatedly stabbed Banwari Lal. During the murder, Amin woke up and saw everything. He was about to scream, but before he could do anything, the killers attacked him as well. Amin was a martial arts player and began to resist, which is why Jack and the two hired killers also received several knife wounds. But they put Amin to sleep for good. After that, Jack also killed Happy, Aju, and his nephew Nikki. After finishing them all, Sanjay gave Jack her scooter keys and paid the hired killers the agreed amount of rupee 50. After this, the three of them fled on Banwari Lal's scooter. Meanwhile, Sanjay cleaned her clothes and went to sleep on the terrace with her sister. The three killers first reached the railway station. Jack got off there. After that, the two hired killers brought the scooter to Mandi Moor and were caught on camera there. They washed their hands and feet there, left the scooter, and then took an auto to head to their respective villages. Jack also took a train and reached Udaipur. Meanwhile, as morning broke, Sanjay began her drama of crying and wailing, while Jack had thrown the knife used in the incident into a drain near Rajgarh railway station, which was later recovered by the police. Investigation revealed that the hired killers, Deepak and Kapil, were both minors, which is why they were presented in the juvenile court and sent to a juvenile correction home. Meanwhile, the case against Sanjay Sharma and Hanuman Prasad was tried in the Additional Sessions Court. In this case, which lasted nearly 6 years, 77 witnesses were presented. Finally, on March 21, 2023, the court sentenced Sanjay Sharma and Hanuman Prasad to life imprisonment under IPC sections 302, 201, among others, along with a fine of rupee 5. Friends, the purpose of narrating this incident is not to hurt anyone's feelings or to trouble anyone, but to make you aware and alert. Friends, what is your opinion about this whole incident? Please share your thoughts in the comment box. And if you liked our efforts, don't forget to like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.